Hi, and welcome to episode 93 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2020. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting to share with you all. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. And you can get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I am currently hosting a knit along over on Instagram, which is called Make 9 2020 Mal, and that is for you to join in on the Make 9 2020 challenge, which is for you to pick 9 projects that you would like to make in the year 2020 and just post a grid of those 9 projects that you would like to make, and they can include any craft. And then as you work on those projects, go ahead and post pictures to Instagram, including that hashtag. And if you finish anything, you can include that hashtag. And any entry that you put onto Instagram with that hashtag will be an entry for you to win a prize that I will throughout the year. I am continuing to draw prizes randomly, just periodically. So if you would like to join in on that make along, I would love to see the projects that you would like to make this year. There is no requirement for finishing anything or everything. There's no requirement for that by any means. You just post a grid of the things that you would like to make and then show any progress pics or finished objects that you make along the way. If there is anybody out there that would love to join in but is just not sure how to make a grid, I have had a few people contact me with concerns about not knowing how to make a grid. And so I have shared before that I use the free app called Pick Collage, and that I have been able to use to make a grid showing 9 pictures. If you're just not tech savvy and that is just too difficult for you, I am more than happy, and I already have actually helped a few people out to make a grid for them. So all you need to do is send me an email, that would probably be best, to noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com, and let me know the 9 projects that you would like to make. Just make sure I can find them online, a picture of them. You don't necessarily need to send me a picture, but just send me the name of the different projects that you would like to make, and I'm glad to get pictures of those and make a collage for you and then just email it back to you so that you can post that onto Instagram if you would like. So please don't let that hesitate you or detour you from joining in on the make along. I hope that it hasn't been a hindrance for any of you to want to join in if you have wanted to and you just didn't know how to make that. So again, please feel free to get in contact with me if you do need any extra help with that. I'm glad to help. So I am so excited that I am wearing a finished object today. I was able to finish the test knit that I have been working on. Now, I have been mispronouncing this design all along. I was never really sure how to do it, but I've been butchering it. I've been pronouncing it as like Centaurea or something like that. No, probably not even that bad. Not good, because now I know how it's pronounced. Centaurea, that's how I was saying it, Centaurea. No, the proper pronunciation is Centaurea, or as the beautiful designer Audrey, who is from France, she says it even more eloquently that I cannot, replicate. But anyway, if you go over and watch Audrey's Yarn Flakes podcast, you'll be able to hear her talk about it. I think on her most recent episode, she talked about this design because it was released earlier than what she had first expected and scheduled. So anyway, this is a beautiful test knit that I was able to make for Audrey Borrego, who is known as Yarn Flakes on Instagram. And she also has a YouTube podcast. I highly recommend her YouTube channel as well. And I am so pleased with this make. I am just so thrilled with how it came out. This is a top-down raglan style pullover, and it has beautiful details along the raglan increases, which have cable details added to them. And then that cable detail runs along the side seams here. and it's also along the ribbing on both the sleeves and the bottom hem. Oh, I think it's so pretty. I love it. It is knit in fingering weight yarn. I use Knit Picks Stroll in the Midnight Heather colorway. I really love the color of it as well. It's just this really deep, deep teal blue color. There you can kind of see the color a little bit better. It's kind of got deep blue and deep green marled together pretty much. But it's so dark it almost looks black. Okay, I knit this on US, for the majority of it I used US 3.25 millimeter needles, and I used a US 2.75 millimeter needle for the neckline, and I was able to meet gauge, which I think is 26 stitches to 4 inches. I used exactly 289 grams of yarn to make this. I did make a few modifications. I did shorten the length of it a little bit, but the yarn stretched considerably because it is 75% superwash merino yarn and 25% nylon, and superwash yarn has the nature to stretch and grow once it's wet locked. So really in the end, I think the length is pretty on key, or it lines up pretty well with the original design. I modified the sleeves quite significantly though. I did not include any decreases on the sleeves. I just knit them straight and then did a rapid decrease at right before the cuff. Right before I knit the cuff, I just did a rapid decrease to get down to the correct number of stitches. When I finished knitting these, the sleeves were about 2 inches too short, but knowing that it was superwash yarn, I was hoping that it would stretch out, and it stretched out beautifully. I'm so happy with the sleeve length now. I found this is, I think, at least the 3rd time that I have knit a sleeve in this way, which has always been a modification from the original pattern. I can think of 2 more at least that I've done this way, maybe even 3 more. Anyway, whenever you do that rapid decrease, I found that it not only cinches in the circumference of the sleeve, but it also kind of cinches up the length of the sleeve. And so you lose a bit of length when you do that type of a decrease, because it just kind of cinches everything in. So I hope that I remember that in the future if I do that method again, which I probably will, because I really like the fit of a sleeve in this way. But it does really tend to shorten up the sleeve even more than what you would originally think. So if I were to knit again, I could see myself knitting this pattern again, honestly. Or if I knit another pattern in the same manner and I used a non-superwash yarn, I want to try to remember to make the sleeve extra long, because it does really shorten it up. I'll go ahead and stand up so you can see it a little bit better. So I'm really happy with the length of it. I like where it sits on my waistline here. And as you can see, the sleeves are nice and long. If I were to pull them down, they could go down past my wrist. But since the wrist is well fitted, it's easy to, they stay on my wrist really nicely. And there's lots of extra length there, which is wonderful. So yeah, I'm so happy with it. You can't really see a lot of the details because of the dark color, but you can see the bit of it at least. So yay! As I mentioned, this pattern has already been released, so if you are interested in knitting this pattern as well, I highly recommend it. It's such a nice and simple pattern, yet with these details along the raglan increases in the sides and the hems and cuffs, it's just such a nice pattern. I really, really enjoyed making it. It was a lot of simple stockinette that was mindless, but then a lot of fun details as well. So I highly recommend it, and I will link to the pattern in the description box below if you would like to check it out. I have another finished object that I was able to whip up very quickly, and it is just a cute little pair of newborn baby socks. I use the pattern which I have used before called the Colorful Knit Kids Socks by Edie Eckman. I do make a few different modifications to that pattern, but it's a really simple pattern and easy these are made so quickly and easily. I make the smallest size, which is a 12-month size, but really these come out to be a newborn size. They're itty bitty. So I used fingering weight yarn. I used the rest of a lot of the remainder of the yarn that I had left over from my Rainbow Connection socks that I test knitted for Kay Litton of Crazy Sock Lady Designs. And this yarn is from Desert Vista Dyeworks in the Spring Rainbow colorway. So they're so sweet, aren't they? I don't have anybody in mind for these. I just had, actually these are on my Make 9 list for, I made 2 Make 9 lists. One is for my personal projects and one is for gift knits. And I put these on that list because I wanted to make, I originally had thought I would want to make a few extra pairs of these, but I already have a few pairs in my stash, and so I just wanted to make one more pair for right now. So I'm counting this as another finished object from my Make 9 list for my gift knits. So I used US 1 2.25 millimeter needles, and it is a free pattern. So it's just, she has a type of texture in the pattern, but I just did a ribbed pattern, which is 2x2 ribbing. I did, whenever I had a color changing row, I just knit across so that I wouldn't get any of those purl bumps showing, so that the color change would be more seamless. And it just worked out so beautifully that the little heel flap was done all in this green color. It's kind of hard to see with the glare of the sunlight, but I think they turned out so well. Oh, and for the heel flap, I also did a slip stitch heel flap. She also has a bit of texture in the heel flap design, and I didn't follow that. I just did a slip stitch heel flap. And anyway, they worked up so quickly, of course, because they're so tiny, but it was a nice little palette cleanser, I guess, you know, to change up the different things that I was making. I have been trying to be pretty monogamous with the projects that I've been working on, and so I needed just a little bright, cheery, fun knit to work on really quickly. And so this only took me a day or two to make. And I wasn't making them exclusively. So anyway, they're so fun. I've said before that if you are new to sock knitting, I would recommend trying this pattern, because it is, or any little tiny baby sock pattern like this, just because you can learn the steps of the construction of a sock on such a small scale. And you know, you have the heel flap and the gusset and the picking up stitches along the heel flap and everything. So you can practice all of those steps, but it's on such a small scale that it goes quickly and easily. So it has like a little rounded toe, and then I kitchenered the end of the toes and everything. So again, you go through all the steps that you would need to know in order to make a large pair of socks, but on such a small scale, it's much more manageable, I think. So those are fun, and these will just be going into my gift basket so that I can give them to a new baby, probably somebody that I go to church with. If somebody at church has a baby, I will be gifting these to them in the future. So I'm happy to have another gift ready to go. Okay, on to my works in progress. There, I pulled the shade a little bit because the sunshine was a little bit too bright. My next work in progress is in this Me Made bag that I made myself. And in here is another test knit that I am knitting for Elizabeth, who was known as Salapaloosa Knits on Instagram, but she recently changed her Instagram handle to be Purls and Peonies. I'm not quite sure yet if she's going to be changing her design name as well to Purls and Peonies. So I guess I will keep you updated on that. But I am making a beautiful knit sweater designed by her, and it is called the Veela sweater, or Veela, I guess it's just called Veela. And last time I recorded a podcast, I was on the second sleeve, and I had just started it. So here's a progress keeper showing where I was last time I recorded, and I was able to finish the sleeve. And I actually decided to add some length to the sleeve. So last time I recorded, I also showed you the first sleeve, and it was, here is a progress keeper marking how long it was originally. And I added another 1.5 repeats of the lace pattern, and that came to about 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So I added another 4 inches to the length of the sleeves. And I'm so happy that I did that. Well, I mean, I'm really kind of unsure about this because it is a bottom up sweater. And I said last time that I've never knit a sweater like this before, but then I remembered that I have knit the Wyatt sweater by Michelle Wong. I knit 2 of those for 2 of my boys. And those are knit in this manner, but I have never made one for myself in this way, knitting from the bottom up. So starting with the sleeves and then knitting the body from the bottom up and then joining everything. Anyway, I'm a bit unsure where this is going to sit. It's supposed to be a 3/4 length sleeve, and I think that this is going to sit right on the shoulder. I mean, or maybe at the underarm. I guess it would probably connect right there, wouldn't it? Because then that would make sense. So anyway, that would be, I don't know, maybe it's a little longer than 3/4 length. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to know, but I thought it was way too short originally and I wanted to lengthen it. I am pretty tall, and so obviously my arms are longer than the average woman. So hopefully I did the right thing in adding some extra length to the sleeves. Okay, and then I did start the body, and I've made a significant amount of progress on the body. I have this on a short circular needle, so I'm able just to knit in the round, but so you can't really tell how big it is, but I actually laid it out on I put on a longer cable and then laid it out against this sweater, and it's matching up to the dimensions of this sweater. So that's great because I like the fit of this sweater. So anyway, this is knit with fingering weight yarn held double with Mohair, a Laceweight Mohair yarn. I am using Knit Picks again, but this is the palette line, which is 100% non-superwash Peruvian Highland wool. And this is in the Ice Lily colorway. And I'm holding it double with a Bear Kid Mohair silk blend of yarn, Laceweight. And I'm really enjoying how that is, you know, how that color combination looks. I'm really happy with that. The main body of the sweater is in a ribbing. So that's really fun and I love it so far. I really only have a few more inches, I think, of the body before I'll be ready to split and join the sleeves on, I think. So I'm super excited about that. I am using the recommended needle size, I believe. I was able to get gauged with the recommended needles, which are US 3.75 millimeter needles for the main body. And then for the ribbing, I'm using US 2.75 millimeter needles. And I'm really, really excited about this. This is the first garment that I am making using Mohair, and I'm excited to have one in my you know, wardrobe so that I can have Mohair to wear because I really love the fabric that it makes. I think it's going to be so pretty. I hope that the sleeves are good. It's hard with bottom up sweaters for sleeve length. I hope I did the right thing in adding a bit more length to the sleeves. So, but I think they're going to look, it's just going to look so pretty together. I can't wait to get it all joined together and see how it looks. But I'm really, really happy with this. It's so fun to work on. And I'm just trying to focus on this because she didn't really give me a time frame. She just said as soon as I could get it ready, as soon as I could get it tested, that would be great. But I'm trying to focus on this for the most part. So I only have one other work in progress to share with you, and that I'm keeping in this Tuft Woolens bag that I received from when I ordered from her once. She had a special going on where you got a bag along with your order. Oh, and I have these little baby feet on here. I forget the age of the size of those baby feet. I think it's like a 10-week-old in utero. That's the size of a baby's feet. 10 or 14 weeks, somewhere around there. Anyway, I decided to make another pair of the Rainbow Connection socks by Kay Linton, Crazy Sock Lady Designs. I test knitted this pattern for her and really enjoyed it. Oh, I have the little card that goes with that pin. Yeah, it's a 10-week-old. Just FYI, so that's super fun to have on there. Anyway, I really enjoyed knitting this pattern when I test knitted it for Kay. And the nice thing about this pattern is that you can use up scraps of yarn. And it was initially made for scraps, I believe. Yeah, that's right. And then Desert Vista Dyeworks also came up with the self-striping yarn that you can make with the socks as well, which is what I test knitted mine in. Anyway, I had both self-striping yarn and scraps, pretty much. I had this like half skein, or maybe not quite half skein, of Knit Picks Felici. I'm knitting with Knit Picks. Everything I'm knitting with is Knit Picks, isn't it? Anyway, I had this half used. I don't know why I had it half used, but I only had 30 grams left from this 50 gram skein. Knit Picks Felici in this steamer trunk colorway. And then I also had this half skein of my own hand dyed yarn, Noble Character Crafts, in the Embrace colorway. So it's just a bare base, and then it's speckled with black and plum and brown, I think. Brown breaks into orange a lot, so it's got a lot of orange in there as well. But anyway, I thought the colors went really nicely together. I thought that was a really fun color combination. And I had only 46 grams of this yarn left. And when I made the first pair of Rainbow Connection socks, I only used 42 grams of the main color, which would be this one, and I have 46 of this, and then I only used 25 grams of the self-striping yarn. So I think I have just enough to squeeze out another pair of socks using these two colors. So I'm super excited about that, and I'm hoping it'll work out. I have just started them. I haven't gotten very far on them, but it starts off with a 2x2 ribbing. I'm making the medium size, which is 64 stitches, and I'm using US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. All the needles I use are Chowgu red lace. And I've just started the patterning, and I'm only on my first color stripe of the Felici. But it's just got this really fun slip stitch detail for the patterning on the front, and then the back is just plain stockinette. So I think it's really fun that the front has vertical stripes because of the slip stitches, and the back has horizontal stripes. So I'm really having fun with these. As you can see, I'm only knitting one, which is unusual for me. I usually knit my socks 2 at a time, but with this pattern, you're having to manage 2 different balls of yarn, and so I found when I test knitted them that I tried doing them 2 at a time, and it was just too much to handle. So I ended up splitting them onto 2 separate needles and knitting them concurrently. But this pair I'm just going to be making 1 at a time, which is very unusual for me, but I really wanted to make just one to make sure that I was going to have enough yarn before I cast on 2 different socks, you know, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'll have enough yarn. I should, if my calculations are correct. But anyway, I'm really enjoying working on these a little bit here and there too, just to kind of break up the, you know, since I am working on the Veela sweater as much as I can, if I just need a little bit of a break from that, I've been picking up this project as well. So that's been super fun. So that's all I have to share with you all this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. We've been doing really well. Nothing new to report really that I can think of. There's nothing new. No surprise there, right? One day is just like another. We're doing really well though. We're continuing with our homeschooling. I do homeschooling with our kids all year round. Throughout the summer, we continue with the same schedule because I just find that is easier. I think a lot of schools around this area are wrapping up the school year, but we are not. We're just continuing. My kids don't get a summer break. But I think I'm okay with that because we do school every day from about 8 to noon, and then they have every afternoon free. And so they have it pretty good. I don't feel bad for them. we're pretty easy on them really, because, you know, we just do schoolwork every morning in the morning, and the routine that provides for all of us, not only the kids, but me as well, is just really helpful and beneficial for all of us, I find. So anyway, our days are, one is just like another, but of course then on the other hand, no 2 days are the same, because with 5 kids, they are always up to new adventures. So anyway, we've been doing really well and enjoying the nice warmer weather and enjoying playing outside a ton. So I hope you all have been doing really well as well. Thank you again so much for joining me. If you did enjoy this episode, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. Thanks again for watching. Bye.